everyone. Welcome to Merle's Pearls of Business Wisdom, where I'm Merle Singer, the relationship miracle worker, talks about all things relationship and how they impact the workplace, how they impact you in the workplace. And once a month, I have the pleasure of interviewing some fabulous person. And today I am interviewing Dr. Shamim Suryavanshi. I did better before. Wait a second. Dr. Shamim Suryavanshi.
Yes.
And Dr. Shamim is a certified positive intelligence coach and a master trainer. She's certified from Hong Kong University. She's a former assistant professor of education. She's a published author. This woman is qualified to talk about an issue that I think a lot of people are having difficulty with. And that is what's going on in the workplace? Is there some kind of sabotage going on? Is there something that's happening that we can figure out, that Dr. Shamim can help us figure out? Welcome, Shamim. How are you?
Very well. Thank you, Merle. Thank you for this honor. Um, Super excited to talk to you, Merle.
It's mutual.
Thank you.
So let's talk about these. You could call them saboteurs. In fact, with positive intelligence, that's what we do call them, and they
Yes.
are. And you, as a coach, have had experience with people that have saboteurs working against them, however saboteurs work, and impacting their experience in the workplace. True?
Yes, yes, Merle, yes. And as you were introducing our topic, my morning and your evening, it just hit me that when we talk about workplace, Merle, it's actually people spending about 12 to 13 hours at times. Um, I come from Asia, I come from Mumbai. And at least here, I do see that long hours. In fact, when I was listening to Kamala Harris's interview, one of her speeches, and she thanks her election campaign manager and the team and all, and she said, "Guys, you've been working night and day." So it's not just 12 or 13 hours, perhaps even more, that here we are, human beings working and have interacting at workplaces. And yes, can't say it's just work, it's about relationships. And reminds me of the pioneer Shirzad Shamin, whose video I was listening to last night. And he says that we are constantly sabotaging our relationships, and that further leading to our performance and our health. So, yes, Merle, this entire concept of saboteurs and how we ourselves are sabotaging our relationships is something very dear to my heart. And what more, it is scientifically proven.
Yeah. What's interesting is we think about saboteurs, we think about other people.
Oh,
But
yeah.
what about
Oh, yeah.
the saboteurs that are running around our head?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting way of looking at it, Merle. Yeah, yeah. So these are the voices in our head. Um, hey, I'm reminded of another singer, Michael Singer. Michael Singer, philosopher, he talks about the voices in the head as well. So, sabotage, from the perspective of science, neuroscience, performance psychology, cognitive science, positive psychology is are the voices, the patterns in our head, the default ways of our reacting to what's happening around. These voices which are there in our heads. For example, here and now, if the voice in my head is telling me that, look, Shamim, you're talking so much and you're not giving chance for Merle to ask you a question. And that can lead to a whole spiral of me and my confidence going down and you wondering why is she suddenly behaving in a different way. And this entire conversation that we are having can
Well,
go in a completely different
and,
direction.
and I could be saying, oh my gosh, should I be asking her questions? Or, oh my gosh, is there something I'm not doing right here? So
Yes,
it it
yes.
it, it goes both ways. It goes for all of us.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Merle. So true. So true. So it's not just the voices in our heads, but it's the voices in the other person's head. So what do we say? The dance of saboteurs. Yeah, that's the word we PQ coaches use. That there is a dance happening, and there could be a beautiful dance in synergy where be it the boss or the subordinate, the teams, they all can thrive,
Right.
or there could be the wars. Ah, and taking it all the way down.
So, okay, before you take them away, let me know, what do you mean by saboteurs? Give me an example and what different kinds of saboteurs are there? Because there are people that are out there now that aren't familiar particularly with positive intelligence and aren't schooled in these dancing devils. So could
That's a beautiful question. Thank you so much, Merle. Because luckily for us, the simple model, to give you a little background, the pioneer, the researcher is Shirzad Shamin. Shirzad is a lecturer at Stanford and today a globally recognized figure. Uh, for me, someone who comes from the world of education, let me also give you the background that earlier we knew about IQ, then came multiple intelligence, where we said, all of us have different intelligences. Some of us may be good with linguistics, some with mathematics, and so on. And then came EQ, emotional intelligence.
that's right.
Shirzad has come up with this very, very simple framework, positive intelligence. And with extensive research, and there's a book by the name Positive Intelligence, he not only identifies that there is the root cause that why our relationships fail or why are we struggling with our relationships. He's tracing it down to this very fundamental aspect, our minds, our brains. And by I changed the word from mind to brain is because today, and I come from a science background, so I wouldn't go for wishy-washy stuff and voices and what are those voices and all. No, I need to know proof. Really, is that so? So yes, there are scientific studies, MRI scans that these voices, also called as, for us to understand, the saboteurs, or simply put, the mental patterns, they are there. And each one of us, each one of us, this is very, very important. As PQ coaches, we reiterate that anybody alive on this planet, we all have these saboteurs. There is a reason why they are there. At one point of time, they served us for survival.
Right.
And I'll take you there also, Merle, after a while. But before that, going back to your question, so the master voice is the judge, the voice in my head, which is constantly judging me, others, and the circumstances. So, very clearly, the three attributes of judging. And thereafter, um, beautifully, he has segregated these saboteurs into 9 types. And some beautiful words, and I'm sure it's going to stay with your audiences. So there could be the voice, which is the voice that we call the avoider. uh, the tendency to avoid unpleasant conversations. I don't want to hurt people, so I'd rather not, or I need not show that I've not done the work. When my boss or my team member asks me, then I'll talk. So that's the avoidance, the tendency to avoid. Then, of course, there is this voice, the voice of the controller, wanting to take charge. Thereafter is the hypervigilance, the voice that is telling me, look out for danger. Hyper rational, the voice that says, I heard myself using that few minutes ago when I said, I don't want to look at wishy washy stuff. And no, I need proof, I need proof. So there is the voice of the rational. Then, of course, the hyperachiever. Um, I know of at least one client of mine, one certificate done, and she would say, no, I need one more. One promotion done, and she says, no, 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 I need another one. The voice in her head is saying that, you're not good enough. You did something, you achieved something, but you need to go to the next one. And the constant need for a higher challenge in achieving that. Or the restless, another voice,
Mm.
Merle. Uh, so, yes, I'm good at this, but I also want to do that, the next shiny thing. So, this project is going on well. But come on, guys, let's look at that project as well. Come on, guys. Um, let's say for a team building workshop, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, but no time to sit down. And guys, let's just sit down and spend some moments reflecting. And then, of course, the last three, the one that we say the pleaser, the voice in our head which says, I have to be kind. If I need to express, I can't answer this email just now. It's 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the night and this email pops up. And I said, no, 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 but she's going to feel bad. And then I do that and I do that. And one day I may say, you know what? I've been so kind to you. I have always been replying to your emails and messages. And you don't care about me. The voice of the pleaser. Or the victim. I do so much for you and I so do so much for the world.
And nobody
And people
cares
are
about me.
fine. Nobody cares about me. Oh, yes. And my personal favorite one that I watch out for is the stickler. So the voice in my head, which is right now saying, oh, it is, 20 minutes past the interview. Are we doing well? We had said 1 hour for this interview. So am I going on track? The tendency to stick to time, to places, generally someone with the tendency to say, this is the way things should go. So these are the voices, Merle. And before we judge ourselves for having these voices, because I'm sure our listeners are also, as they listen to us, they're trying to identify.
Right.
But before you go there and say, oh dear, yes, it could be my tendency to control or to my tendency to be vigilant about danger, that's coming in the way of my relationships. One word of love and care that each one of us are having these voices. They are there for some reason, be it in childhood, be it in our upbringing, we needed them. There were actual danger situations where the hypervigilance was required, the vigilance was required. PQ or positive intelligence says that these voices, which served a purpose at a particular point, now they are no more serving us, yet we hold on to them.
I think I kind of got the idea that when we were cavemen and cave women and things, uh, life was a little more dangerous. We had to be a little more hyper vigilant, and
Yes,
we needed to be aware of more things, more. But
yes,
that's no longer the case.
yes,
I think if I'm correct, all of these characteristics or all of these ways of being have a value if it's used appropriately, which means to be aware and not to be knock your head on the head because, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. If it's, oh, look, this is how I'm doing it. Can I do it better? Or should I just ditch it? Or if you could figure out something good, that's it. it saboteurs are not saboteurs if they bring you information and then let you use it in a constructive way. If they bring you information and knock your head over about it, not so good. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. And that reminds me this beautiful thing that we remind our clients or people whom we work with, that behind your strongest saboteur. So each one of us, as I said, nine saboteurs. So I might be somebody who has a higher controller or the stickler, the voices in my head. Somebody else could be having the high avoider or high hypervigilance or hyper rational. But we say that behind those sabs are your greatest strengths.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
somebody again going back to hypervigilance is a quintessential somebody who's a guardian of practices and traditions, be it at work or at home. So that's a
Right.
beautiful quality. But if I keep calling out for danger every time, then that gets exhausting for me and for others. And that's how it sabotages relationships.
Yeah.
Even the person with the tendency to avoid the avoidance voice in the head are lovely people. They are even keel types. They wouldn't want to, create unnecessary ruffles. So these are their lovely qualities. And somebody like me who has a high controller uh, might get totally, ruffled by this person's even keelness. But I can appreciate that, yes, here is someone who may be even complimenting me. But
Right.
provided that both of us acknowledge our strengths, as you are saying, Merle, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so do you, so you're a coach and you
That's right.
coach people in the workplace.
Yes. Yes.
So do you have an example of someone you coached that had a particular saboteur that 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 you brought insight to and it changed the way they were able to function in the workplace?
I'm reminded of this very, very recent conversation, Merle. Just 2 days ago, there was this wonderful lady who showed up for a coaching session. And interestingly for us, she wanted to speak about her relationship with her bosses.
Hmm.
Now, here was someone who had a track record of success, Merle. Yeah. Um, I think she was not less than 10 years or 15 years of work life. And when we opened up and I asked her, what is it about these relationships? What she said is, I want to be more friendly with them. I seem to go inside my boss's office and only talk about work. I don't seem to be talking about anything else. And then there are others who would say, you finished your meeting with your boss so soon. And she said, yeah, because I only speak work. I mean, what else is there to speak? Uh, and this person then also says that, but with my team, I do spend time knowing them. I do spend time talking to them. But with my bosses, I keep it to work. So I know this boss has been absent and I know she may not have been well, but I don't want to put those messages, oh, how are you? And I hope everything is all right. I feel it's their personal life. Then I checked with her, so what's the problem? Okay, before that, we went and I said, okay, what about the bosses? If the bosses were there, what would they say? And she had all the lovely things to say, Moon. She said the bosses would say, I am smart, I meet my deadlines, I don't need to be given further instructions. A little more nudge, and She says, no, my bosses would not have any issue about relationships with me. Then I said, okay, then what brings you to this conversation? If
Right.
the bosses have no problem, you're doing exceptionally well. And few minutes into the session, it came to her not being able to trust people. And it went back to these experiences of life where she felt she had been backstabbed,
Inter-
consequently, now leading to this entire um, lens through which she's seeing people where people cannot be trusted. So, carrying on with that same example, the hypervigilance, she actually
I,
identified and she said, yes, I am looking out for dangers because I have seen that in the past, this particular boss did this and this coworker did this. So today I don't want to trust anyone. And Merle, since you've also done positive intelligence with me, all we needed to do was get her to touch herself and remind her of her true essence by reminding her of her childhood self. And immediately this woman broke down and she said, you know what? It's so hard because actually, from where I come, where she came, she had a lot of spiritual work going on in the sense that the world is a beautiful place and all human beings are lovely. So she could remember that she was a very kind and forgiving. These are the two words that she used. That actually I was that kind of a person and I'm not meant for the corporates
so
where
that,
I need,
that's what she said. That's how she was
yes,
interpreting it.
yes. She said, I am such a loving and kind and caring person. So in the corporates where you need to be guarded, I can't do that. It's too much. But this whole relationship between why she was doing what she was doing, her guard, was an act for survival in what she perceived to be, the dark, the dangerous corporate world. So that realization itself, and then we actually spoke about the analogy that we discussed, and she said, yeah, but it's true, not everybody is bad. And why am I constantly on that guard? It's so tiring. And it ended up, the session ended up with she saying, of course, I want to be in the corporates. Of course, I'm doing so well. And she's adding value wherever she is, whatever she's doing. And, she's ended the conversation with a little smile and she says, I'm going to trust people at least a 10% more. No harm in doing that.
So I have a trust is something that I think is a really I like to talk about because there are people that don't, and there are people that do, and that they're so trusting to their destruction.
Yeah, could be.
So I think trusting it is something that you can do a little step at a time. So and this works in a personal life or in business life is um, if you're not sure that you can trust someone, you can tell them something personal that if they told the world, it wouldn't matter. Because if there can, I like blue flowers or whatever, something that is particularly personal, and but is not harmful to you. And if that gets out around, if other people come back to you and say, "Oh, you like blue flowers," so then you know you have somebody that talks a lot, and
Wow.
and then you know that that's a person you're not going to tell personal things to. You can say, "Let's go to lunch," and if the person shows up, that's one step of trust that you can give that person. So you can uh, you can, I don't like to say give them tests, give them steps of trust.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, Mom.
And 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 then you honor that part of you that's uncertain, uh, but you don't get stuck back there not trusting. You say, it's hard for me to trust, but I'm going to do these particular steps with this particular person or these people and see how they move along the steps. And I have, I have a friend that I know. If if I don't want other people in our social circle to know something, I'm not going to tell her because I know everything that she knows about everybody else because she talks about it. And it's not in a bad way, but there's some things you don't want the world to know. So I don't get mad at her. I don't not be friends with her. I just don't tell her things I don't want other people to know. So there's different kinds of trust. Different people can be trusted with different things. So it's not all a monolith. It's not all this. You're good or you're bad. You're trustworthy, you're not. It's not true.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, what comes to my mind is, Merle, that perhaps this friend of yours maybe is with the high pleaser voice, who wants to, maybe, this is my assumption, wants to go around making friends, and that's her way of, sharing bits of pieces of information. And how lovely to put it this way that, just as we have our own voices which are trying to protect us, and here is another human being, perfectly imperfect as
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's innocent.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
evil.
yeah.
It's innocent. I want it to align with with my uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And that will also help guard ourselves if at all the victim voice shows up. I've been telling her all my secrets, and here the world
right,
doesn't,
right,
respect me, and da 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 da.
right,
So,
right.
and that's what we say about intercepting the saboteur
Yes,
voices,
yes,
catching ourselves, immediately identifying. And a great way, Merle, I think it's important to remind our listeners is the emotions.
yeah,
Check the emotions. If it is the negative, blame, shame, guilt, anger, hurt, then you're operating from the saboteur mindset,
yes,
uh, which research proves that the more you are into your negative emotions, the higher the chances of we sabotaging our relationships, and with it, of course, our performance and work.
yeah.
And it just makes sense scientifically, if not anything else, to
When
tap into the positive
you're
ones.
feeling good about yourself, now this
Yeah.
is why you want to deal with your own saboteurs. This is why you want to learn about sages, which we can mention or save for our next interview. Uh, uh, so, because if we're kind of at peace with how we're doing, we know we're not perfect, blah, 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 but we're moving along. Uh, we have a more open view of other people. I think the wonderful thing about Shameen is that positive intelligence focuses on the person, on yourself. Because as soon as you get yourself together, where the saboteurs are licked, well, at least, for the time being, and you have sages that are giving you advice that makes sense, that bring you peace and make you move forward in the world, uh, then you have that to offer.
Totally, Merle. And it's a lifelong journey. Once again, I'm reminding, as I talk to you, I'm reminding my own self that whatever the voices are, whatever these top saboteurs of mine be, uh, they're going to be around. It's about me, you, or each person, be it at work or in personal lives. It's about I wanting to get better, I wanting that peace for myself, and hence I strive to intercept these saboteurs. At the same time, accept that these are going to be there for a lifetime. So it's a constant work that we're doing on ourselves. There will be no point where, let's say, the stickler tendency in me, where I do want things to go in a certain way. I need the house to be kept, my work table in a certain way, people to follow timelines, deadlines, all the perfection. Uh, Anything that I write on LinkedIn, I'll be going about, vis-a-vis somebody else. I may be spending a 2 hour on a 100 piece article. That's me, but I can lovingly accept that, okay, that's part of me, but am I doing too much of it such that it's coming in the way of my performance, my relationships? So, knowing that they can't be done away with, but intercepting at the right time. Also, being mindful that these qualities are important. So, going ahead with the same analogy of a writing piece. When I wrote my thesis, it did require me to see every dots and T's and all of that. I had to put down all the credits, I had to
Yes.
put down all the citations.
Yes.
But does a Facebook or a LinkedIn or an Insta thing require that kind of attention? No.
Right.
So even at workplace, be it the stickler tendency or any of these, there could be times that we can be chill and not get worked up. There can be times where we can use the avoidance tendency, the strength of it, mind you, to not get into every argument. I mean, I don't have to fight every battle. Uh, can I use that choice? Can I be aware of using my strengths and making sure that I don't misuse them as well, or not use them at wrong places and you know tiring myself and others who work with me.
Yeah, I think I like Shameen talks about PQ reps about strengthening the skill at being able to handle these saboteurs in the same way that you work out your physical muscles. And when you work out your physical muscles, if you stop doing that, you get flabby. The
Yeah,
muscles go away. You cannot keep those muscles without exercising them. And however, whatever technique we use to bring peace to ourselves and our perfect imperfection, it's the one thing I do really well is being imperfect. I've had practice.
yeah, 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 yeah,
When
yeah.
you can
Wow.
come to uh, 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 peace, really, some there's another word that's even better, but peace works. We can be when we can be generous to ourselves, we can be generous to other people. And if you want to have better relationships with other people, that's where it starts.
Totally. And you've mentioned PQ reps, Merle, and I'm reminded of one entrepreneur I have known for a long time, a coach and also a colleague, um, who starts every meeting with the PQ reps, as we say, just as Merle mentioned about the physical exercise. So these are repetitions, the PQ reps, certain simple techniques like rubbing two fingers so mindfully that you are aware. Just for 10 seconds, by the way, this technique is so beautiful and so simple. Just for 10 seconds, paying attention to any of your one sense, be it the sense of touch, where you rub your two fingertips, with such attention that you can feel the ridges. So, be this entrepreneur that I know, I'm reminded of another uh, gentleman at a very high position in a global company, somebody who, you know, not just in a high tension situation or a high stake meeting, he had made it so this entrepreneur would do it with the entire team. Their meetings would start with PQ reps. And over the years, I have known and I have heard stories for him that how, and I've seen in reality, I have seen his company grow because the team now has that entire positive energy, positive space where they are brainstorming. Each person is now dancing beautifully with the other. And as a company, they are thriving. And a simple practice like beginning every meeting with the PQ reps. And each time during the meeting, there is high tension to, or even if not, but just to charge, to bring that tapping into your positive mind, the mind that gives you, as Merle is saying, the peace, the serenity, curiosity, compassion,
And
creativity.
the muscle that this is this is strengthening. The
Yes,
muscle is being completely present
yes,
in the moment
yes,
with nothing else going on in your head. No,
right,
nothing else. That,
yes,
that is the muscle that you're strengthening. That's the mental
absolutely,
muscle. That's um, that's as valuable to us as working out is.
absolutely. So, be it this gentleman who did it with the teams and openly, or the other ones, I am reminded of more than one who, even, under the table, they would just do their PQ reps, be it rubbing the fingers or simply looking at the other team members or the bosses or the subordinates or whoever they are with such attention, maybe the hair, the texture of the color of the skin, the hair, or even I've known one person who would rub paper just for 10 seconds, centering herself,
Right,
grounding herself,
right,
making sure that she is not getting sabotaged.
right.
And then, of course, there is this entire contagion of either the saboteurs or bringing in everybody else's good energy, tapping into everybody's best self.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. So it must be you must have a good time coaching uh, in the business world.
It's
It,
wonderful, Mal, because, oh yeah, somebody was,
do you ever read the newspaper about different uh, companies and think, oh my God, they could use it?
oh yes, oh yes.
Actually,
And at the same time, sorry, Mal.
no, I was going to say
Yeah, at the same time, I'm a believer of one person at a time. So while there is so much that one feels that, these companies, these institutions can do, but it's perhaps one person at a time rather than waiting for somebody else to do something at our job places. Start with yourself. Um, and as one wise person I met last week around this time itself said, some people learn at work and take it home. Some learn at home, take it at work. So even if we work around, no matter whether it's your personal self or the hat that you wear at workplaces, if you're working on yourself, um, that circle of influence gets benefited. The workplace, the organization, the family, and thereafter we may, or rather, be making the world a better place, Merle.
so.
And as human,
How should we summarize this? I think this would be a good place to summarize. Uh, Give me your summary of, of what some of us, what we want our people, our listeners to take away.
let it begin with you. If you're looking at better relationships, let it begin with you. Let it begin with me. And we invite people to read up about PQ. There's a whole global movement going around. There are hundreds and thousands of coaches across the world today. So if you're interested in knowing more, feel free to connect. Um,
That's
that's the invitation.
positiveintelligence.com, actually.
Yeah.
You can do that there. And take a test. I believe you can take a test of
Yes.
how your
Yes.
positive intelligence is. That would be kind of fun.
And welcome to learn the tools and techniques, and they are so deceptively simple that you might even say, "Oh, really? Is this going to work?" But for us who have been in the field for years now, we know it works. So the invitation is on for everybody who's interested.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you want to contact Dr. Shamim Suryavanshi, I'm working on it. uh, do it simple. Just go to LinkedIn. She's there, and direct message her. Just get in contact with her. It's very
Yeah.
simple. LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
and say you were listening to this podcast, Merle's Pearls of Business Wisdom, and then then she'll say, "I won't talk to you anymore." No. Then you'll get a discount. How's that? So, uh, Shamim, it's been really fun talking with you. And I think our listeners will have learned something. And everybody, I have to speak to my crowd now. Thank you for listening to Merle's Pearls of Business Wisdom with me, your host, Merle Singer, the Relationship Miracle Worker. You can find this episode and all past episodes at relationshipmiracleworker.com/podcast. But you can just go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music, any of your favorite podcast platforms. And Merle's Pearls of Business Wisdom will be there.